Okay, I thought I'd have a quick run through my bag of swag from yesterday at iCollectables in Blackpool, and I'm just going to go through the huge bag in the order in which I find things. And we start with a few comics that were so freshly in that they haven't even priced them yet, but they very kindly let me take some of them away. And the first one is Overkill. This was an anthology series from the early 90s. This is issue 29. And this chap here, you may not be familiar with, because he's pretty obscure as Marvel characters go, but he is Marvel. He's Death's Head 2. And you may recall that there was a certain freelance peacekeeping agent, yes, from the pages of the original 80s Transformers comic by the name of Death's Head. This is his successor. And his successor originally wasn't really him, but for reasons that are quite long-winded, Death's Head 2 here ends up incorporating the original personality of Death's Head into its sort of, personality matrix, and effectively he becomes Death's Head for all intents and purposes. But he also has, as you can see here, a few extra team members, and this was an X-Men crossover. Now, the thing with these 90s comics is that they're 90s comics, and so they're not anywhere near as sort of PC as they are these days. And so as I flick through these, you may well find images that you may find offensive in this day and age, but I can't really help that because I didn't make it. And I haven't looked at these yet. For some reason, we've got Doctor Who popping up in the middle of it. But this was a British comic, you see. You can probably tell that already from the size, but this is a British comic. And I believe that, I have some American-sized comics of Death's Head too, but I remember reading this anthology to some extent or another, because I came across a comic strip called Warheads. And there you go, see, we've got Wolverine, we've got Beast, what do you call it? Jubilee, Rogue, all the sort of usual X-Men suspects in there. So it was a genuine part of the Marvel universe. There's no two ways about it. It's just that it's one of those slightly more obscure offshoots. But there was a strip in here called Warheads, which I came across online recently. Someone I think was trying to sort of preserve the preserve it for history, basically. Maybe not in this issue actually, but I think one of the other issues I picked up did have it in. But it's just a nice example of what was around in the 90s, and what was happening with the British comics in the 90s was quite a lot of this I found, and I was starting to head out of my regular sort of comic collecting days at that point. But there were a lot of these sort of stops and starts of editions like that, which are sort of trying to include, say, the Warheads. They're trying to sort of keep themselves going and sort of have different strips in them, and just they just never quite got traction. They never quite took off. 2000 AD is probably the one exception, because 2000 AD just kind of kept on trucking through it all. But the Marvel comics were always a little bit more up and down. So I collected a run of Death's Head and Dragon's Claws. Those ones were around as well, but they only ran 10 issues and they stopped, and then they were sort of never heard from again. But those are very much part of my sort of comics growing up. That's cool. It looks like a Vulcan ship. I can't read any of this. It's upside down for me, obviously, but I'm trying to give you the benefit rather than me. And Digitech were quite big players in this sort of late 90s Marvel universe, as I recall. They were doing a lot of sort of dimension hopping and technology harvesting sort of missions, that kind of thing. I remember this Todd McFarlane graphic very well. That got used a lot, I think, for Spidey there. Shop till you drop, apparently. So these were the last things I grabbed just on the way out, because I did one of those classic sort of, oh yeah, I saw those, and then I remembered about them at the last minute, and then picked up a few randomly. But it's all good. There's the Warheads. There's the Warheads series that I remembered. Cool. That was issue 3. That was issue number 3. For the grand sum of 55 pence. And then we've just got one last one here. Motormouth. I think, did Motormouth have something to do with Death's Head as well? Death's Head got some strange sort of strange offshoots. I can't remember why they made Death's Head 2. I think there was some sort of prophecy or something, and they wanted to try to create a sort of an ultimate warrior type deal. But unfortunately, they reckoned without Death's Head's personality, basically. And Death's Head personality wasn't about to be subsumed by anything else. And that's why he ended up winning out over Death's Head 2 in the end. But they did form a sort of amalgam, I think. I think there was a sort of mix of both of them in there in the end, well, to a certain extent. That's classic 90s. Look at the size of that gun. Awesome. Oh, more warheads. There you go. I bet I'll end up going back. I'll get into the strip, then I'll end up going back. That almost looks like Jeff Senior artwork. Pardon me a moment. Is that Jeff Senior artwork? Why aren't you telling me? That's really odd. There's no... Normally, comics tell you quite rapidly who's doing the art for them, but there's nothing. Cosmic Comics. I'm just looking at the adverts. The advert's quite entertaining. Just Comics, Cosmic Comics, back issues, Cult Comics. Brilliant. Did it say at the front who drew that? So it's just, I really like Jeff Senior, so I'm just trying to figure out if that is. Oh, the Knights of Pendragon are in here as well. Oh, the Knights of Pendragon are an interesting one. Sorry, I'm meandering all over the place here. But Knights of Pendragon has Captain Britain in it. I don't know if he's actually in this issue, of course, but no, he isn't. That's right. Warheads. Art Jeff Senior. Yep, there we go. Called it. Thought that was Jeff Senior's art. That's cool. Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and get some more now, aren't I? Damn. Okay. Now, it's a nice thing about getting lots of random stuff. You forget that you picked up random stuff. Armour Wars. Warren Ellis, who is responsible for the Authority writing to a large extent. And I'm going to come back to them in another video. But... I've seen this one so many times, never picked it up, but then it was for sale, so I felt it would be rude not to. So it's basically, I think it's Iron Man kind of facing off with various other characters who have developed their own sorts of armour. So that'll be right up my street. Added to my Sequest DSV collection, The Regulator. I don't really remember the episode, but I believe I checked last night, and apparently he kidnapped Darwin, the dolphin, at one point. But I think he did appear in more than one episode, I believe. So, as I say, this is if you've seen my previous Sequest video, it's a very, very finite series. It's not massively collectible, so I've been able to pick them up quite reasonably. As you see, that was a tenner, and I can probably pick up the rest of the series. They actually had a few more there, but I was conscious of budget. And these were produced by Playmates, who are the same company that produced the Star Trek Next Generation figures. So they're actually, the mould size is exactly the same, the figure size is the same, so they're kind of compatible. Now, I went a bit bonkers here. Dreamwave Transformers comics. I love the artwork in these. That's just so... They're just pretty. So I've got issues 0. And then I think I went 1 to 5. So that's number 1. That's not Transformers. That's Azrael. I got that because I love this this armor that he wore, which is his early sort of Azbat armor. Before it went red and yellow. It was just I just like the concept of a more armored Batman, basically, at that sort of point in time. So more Transformers here. So I didn't collect these at the time at all, but I did get a few graphic novels which were of this 20th anniversary, which is nice. and that's Skyfire / Jetfire, of course, depending on which way you look at it. And so I just saw these one of their many comics boxes and felt it would be rude not to, basically. This was of interest to me, and I picked it up because I know that there's still quite a lot of interest in Mask Mobile Armored Strike Command, per the explanation there, and it was a number 1, so I thought I just grab it out of interest, really, as much as anything else. And IDW again producing that one. IDW Cyclonus, interesting character in the later comics. He's got quite a lot of backstory, which I might find out a bit more about in that particular comic. And an RC one as well, which is interesting because I don't know what her background was particularly in the comics. So again, it'll be an interesting one to have a look at in due course. And then there was this little chap who and that's Azrael, and this is Azrael before he took on the mantle of the Bat, but it was his sort of modern armor. This is what his armor looked like before he became the Batman. So I was hunting around for a Bat armor version of him, but I failed to pick that up. But it's a good example of the precursor version. I also picked up some Eaglemoss, and the interesting thing about these models is that you have absolutely no idea from the box of which model it is. So unless your Starship recognition is really, 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 really good and strong, you are not going to be sure what it is that you are holding. I do have a solution, however, and the solution is to do this. And it does look like you're trying to steal it, admittedly, but it is the only way to do this, to my knowledge, because on the reverse side, and this is okay because the plastic will hold it together, because you are told on the underside of the stand what ship it is. So if you know that, then you can quietly open up the box and have a quick look and just confirm that it is in fact what you think it is, or whether or not it is in fact something completely different. Happily, this is a Klingon D5 battlecruiser, and it is indeed one that I do not have, because I do have one similar to it, and actually the Raptor that was in Enterprise was very, very close to this, but they are different, and it is the Raptor I've got, not this one. I believe they never... I'm trying to think if this is the one that didn't actually get used in Enterprise. I think they designed it, but they didn't bring it in. I think they reused a Katinga model on screen instead for some reason. So there is that. I got the Dauntless because it's in Star Trek Prodigy at the moment. It's not the same one, of course, but it is effectively the ship that Janeway is now riding around in, or at least a Starfleet recreation of it. So that's interesting. Nearly there now. It's just a little Romulan shuttle that I picked up because I haven't picked it up before. I've got the Romulan scout ship, so I thought I'd give it some company, and at £8 I think it was. It's a bargain really at the moment given what Eaglemoss prices are like, so got that as well. I just like Romulan ships. Now this one I goofed on. Could have sworn I only had the Nightingale, so I picked up this Marquee fighter thinking I didn't have it. Guess what? I have got it. I've now got 2 Marquee fighters. Don't know how many I need for a squadron, but apparently I'm on my way. So that was a mistake. That might go back on eBay, I guess, possibly. Now, do you know what? I haven't actually checked what class of ship this is, because I can never remember these. Yeah, it's Norway. This is a Norway class. I don't even know what its name is, actually. It's a Norway class of ship. This is... sorry. Stop rustling now. So this is a ship that was designed to combat the Borg. It was a Borg-busting kind of ship, basically. And it appears in Star Trek First Contact in the fleet scene that... where the Enterprise E comes in to sort of bolster the fleet and basically save the day, obviously. But it was part of Starfleet's reaction to the Borg threat that they developed a suite of these, like the Sabre as well. The Akira class, maybe to a lesser extent, but it's that sort of era, basically. So, interesting one to get, interesting design. It's got this sort of split nacelle thing going on. But yeah, it's cool little ship to add to the collection, because I don't have. I wanted to get an Akira class, but I didn't have one, unfortunately. So, bag is now empty. So that's me done. Cheers for now.